Very seldom have I looked at Trump and thought, yeah, I can relate to this. But he came out after Israel was about to launch a full-scale bombing attack on Iran. And he came out, he heard about this. Man didn't even put on a tie. Came out of the White House half-dressed, ran straight into reporters, and he went into it. He was like, I heard about what Iran is doing and what Israel is doing. And let me tell you, I'm angry at Iran, but I'm more angry at Israel.
Seems weird, but there's probably a very simple explanation for why he talks that way. A thing called brain damage. Trump also opened up about his personal struggles.
Some people say, sir, how do you get out of bed in the morning? It's a war.
No, it's true. Getting out of bed is a war. First fight is rolling over, then comes sitting up.
Every time Donald Trump takes the stage, he acts like he's giving the greatest show in history. But Trevor Noah and Stephen Colbert pull back the curtain, exposing the same tired routine. They call out his contradictions, mock his constant complaints, and highlight the absurd way he turns politics into late-night drama. Instead of showing strength, he comes off as a parody of himself and Colbert, and Noah makes sure the laughter never ends.
In the United States of America, if you want to win an election, all you need to have is a strange voice. Simple as that. You want to be president of the United States? Get a strange voice, you're done. Yeah, forget policies, forget ideas, that's boring. You come out there with a strange voice, the people love it. You realize there's been no American president who has a normal speaking voice, none. Trump, that was the weirdest of all.
No, you fool! Now there's one less job. Don't you see? You fell into her trap. But it makes sense. He fires anyone who gives him bad news. Mr. Dr. Cardiologist, you clearly rigged my cholesterol to be 1,000 and said my blood type was aioli. You're fired, happen or no, it's honey mustard.
If you're enjoying this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Trevor Noah and Stephen Colbert never hold back when they take aim at Donald Trump. They cut through the bluster and bravado, turning every boast into a punchline and every meltdown into comedy gold. Trump likes to project himself as a tough, strong man, but under their sharp humor, he looks more like a man who stumbled into the White House thinking it was one of his hotel lobbies. The difference is, unlike his casinos, he can't just file for bankruptcy and walk away when things go wrong. Though if he could, the Oval Office might already have a giant Chapter 11 sign hanging over it.
At this point, Trump isn't even trying to hide his awfulness. His critics accuse him of being a wannabe dictator, so what does he do? He sits down with Hungarian dictator and elephant seal barking for a trout, Viktor Orban. Orban went down to Mar-a-Lago on Friday for an official fake state visit with the not president. Orban's a bad guy. In the last decade, he has weakened the institutions of democracy, eroded the legal system, and eliminated effective opposition.
Trevor highlights just how absurd Trump's image really is. Here's a man who tries to look powerful while firing off insults at 3 a.m. like a teenager glued to social media. Trump wants history to remember him as a giant, but instead he's become the punchline of late-night TV, the perfect example of what happens when ego meets incompetence. He struts around bragging about victories that never happened, claiming credit for things he barely understands, and attacking anyone who states the obvious. Behind the slogans and catchphrases is someone clinging to a brand, not building a legacy.
I feel like Trump would be exactly the same even if he spoke Arabic. It would be like the same thing. It'd be like, Halalawa traktara suklalawa. Yalawa laka. Batika shukran nalawa lela. Batika lelawa. Yalla yalla.
Colbert, with his smooth delivery, doesn't need to exaggerate. He simply lays out Trump's contradictions and lets them collapse on their own. Trump calls himself a genius, but stumbles through sentences like he's losing a fight with the English language. He brags about stamina, yet looks like he needs a golf cart just to cross a room. He claims to be a master negotiator, but often argues himself into corners even his aides can't escape. With Colbert, every boast sets up the joke and every contradiction delivers the punchline.
And by the way, isn't that breeze nice? Do you feel the breeze? Because I don't want anybody going on me. We need every voter. I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care. See, now the press will take that and they'll say he said a horrible thing.
Of course, if you say a horrible thing, people are going to say what you said is horrible. That's how words work.
Noah points out what many already noticed: Trump isn't really leading the nation. He's hosting it. He's turned the White House into the world's most exhausting reality show. Every press conference plays like an episode, every rally feels like a rerun, and every scandal is just another cliffhanger in a series that lost its spark long ago. The ratings are poor, the storyline's predictable, yet the star refuses to step off the stage.
Donald Trump came in and he was like, I'm gonna help, I'm gonna totally de-escalate this situation. And we were like, my man, you've never de-escalated a thing in your life. From your hair to your politics, nothing is a de-escalation. Trump came in and he's like, I don't like how Iran and Israel are launching bombs at each other all the time. So many bombs, we can't have this, it's not right, we gotta fix it. And they're like, all right, how are you gonna fix it? He's like, by dropping bombs.
Trevor takes aim at Trump's obsession with image. The president can't go a day without boasting about how rich, smart, or successful he is. But the more he insists, the less believable it sounds. It's like watching a magician explain the trick while performing it, hoping no one notices the rabbit is already gone. Trevor calls it what it is, a desperate need for validation disguised as confidence. Colbert adds to the humor by highlighting the gap between Trump's self-image and reality. Trump talks about himself like he's part George Washington, part Iron Man, but in reality, he comes off more like a late-night infomercial host, loud, repetitive, and pushing something nobody really wants.
Have you ever noticed that when Trump has no idea about something, he just says any crazy thing that pops into his head, and then he adds, I don't know? Which is pretty slick, because then you can never call him out on it.
Maybe birds can fly backward when we're not looking. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
You know, I know that Donald Trump is trying to be menacing here, but all I hear is a really catchy pop song. And it's like,
My button brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's bigger than yours. Damn right, it's better than yours.
Trump sells himself as the nation's savior, but the fine print always reveals chaos, division, and a presidency fueled more by grievance than leadership. What makes Noah and Colbert's takedown so sharp is that they don't just challenge his policies, they target the theater of his presidency. The bragging, the inflated accomplishments, the constant strutting like a peacock on steroids. And it works because Trump's biggest weakness isn't his critics, it's himself. He hands comedians an endless stream of material, contradictions, blunders, and overblown declarations begging to be mocked. He's not just the president. He's a one-man punchline machine, the gift that never stops giving.
What is he gonna do when he loses?
Yeah, people act like it's gonna.
I'm being for
yes,
real about this, by the way.
Trev,
Like, I think people take for granted that guy thinks everything is a conspiracy.
Trev, you're smarter than me. Please explain this to people, because I've been trying to tell people this. It's not going to be a peaceful transfer of power. I don't think it's going to be a transfer of power at all.
I don't think
he's going anywhere.
I don't think Donald Trump does anything normally. I wouldn't be shocked if he just goes like, I'm not leaving the White House.
I'm not leaving.
I could see him just being like, I'm not leaving. There were fake votes. 3 million fake Mexicans voted. I'm not leaving. And you know what's weird about America is America has all these rules where you guys have just agreed to things, but it's not like written down properly. And then they'll just be like, but you're supposed to leave, Donald.
Trevor and Colbert also take aim at Trump's need to always be the center of attention. No matter the situation, he somehow makes it about himself, a natural disaster. He talks about ratings, a foreign crisis. He brags about his genius, an economic problem. He insists he already solved it, even as it crumbles. It's less leadership and more stand-up routine, except the audience is the American people, and the price of admission is credibility. Colbert digs into Trump's thin skin. He likes to project toughness, But what shows through is pettiness of man, so desperate to win every exchange that he only makes himself look smaller each time he speaks. Colbert highlights the irony of the alpha male who collapses into whining whenever anyone states the obvious. Trevor adds fuel by mocking the Trump family brand. They want to be seen as American royalty, yet they come across like a bargain bin. Soap opera scandals, awkward family drama, and constant photo ops. It's not Camelot, it's reality TV on clearance. Trevor points out the absurdity of it all. A family desperate to appear polished that always ends up looking chaotic.
Does he talk like that the rest of the day? No one eats chicken nuggets like Trump. In terms of hungrily, nobody puts on pajamas like Trump by way of sleepily, and the deep state is forcing Trump to get up several times a night apropos of poopily. Or apropos.
In the end, Trevor Noah and Stephen Colbert turned Trump's presidency into a masterclass in unintentional comedy. They rose the way he bends reality to fit his ego, contradicts himself almost daily, and demands respect while acting like the loudest guy at a bar. They make it clear Trump doesn't just fail to live up to the role of president, he doesn't even understand it. To him, the office isn't a duty, it's a stage, and every time he steps on it, the show grows more absurd. That's what makes their rose so effective it doesn't need exaggeration. All they do is hold up a mirror. Trump provides the punchlines, the contradictions, the outrageous boasts. Noah and Colbert simply connect the dots, showing an audience not a titan of history, but a man who turned the highest office into the world's longest running joke. He wanted to be remembered as a giant, but history is already laughing, and thanks to Noah and Colbert, the laughter always cuts through the illusion.
And Times Person of the Year is Donald Trump. There. I talked about it. Along with making the cover this morning, Trump got to ring the big boy bell to open the New York Stock Exchange. He made it look easy, which is no surprise because Trump has spent years practicing his bell ringing.
Ding, 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 ding.
The strangest part of Trump's presidency isn't just that he walks away from scandals like a cartoon character surviving explosions, it's that he brags about them if they're trophies. Every disaster gets spun into a campaign ad, every blunder rebranded as genius strategy. It's like watching someone take credit for surviving car crash when he was never driving, just strapped to the hood, yelling about how great the ride was. Noah and Colbert latch onto this absurdity, showing how Trump has built a career out of chaos disguised as strategy. He's the host, the product, and the testimonial all at once, but instead of selling knives or miracle diets, he's selling America on the idea that shouting louder makes you right. It's the longest-running reality show on Earth, keeping up with the constitutionally questionable. And Trevor doesn't just roast him for it, he underscores the surreal truth that a man who struggles to finish a sentence has somehow convinced millions he's a visionary.
He looked like a dad who had kids that were fighting in the backyard. And he was just going back and forth. He's just like, shut up, baby, come on, shut up, sit up. How many times do I have to tell your kids that you're not gonna, I told you once and I'll tell you again. And then he looked at the reporter and he did something I've never seen an American president do in my entire life. He cursed live on TV into the camera. Looked at the camera and he was like, they were like, what do you think, Mr. He's like, I'll tell you what this is. You've got two countries that have been fighting so long, they don't know what the they're doing.
Colbert captures Trump's theatrical side, the hand gestures, the dramatic pauses, the overdone exits, and strips his rallies down to what they really are: poorly staged stand-up shows where the headliner doesn't realize he's the punchline. Then there's his obsession with crowd sizes. No politician has ever turned attendance into a personality trait, but Trump treats it like divine proof of greatness. If 5 people show up, he calls it 5 million. If the room is half empty, he blames the cameras for fake news coverage. Noah nails the absurdity, comparing it to a magician pulling rabbits out of a hat, only for the rabbits to sue afterward. For unpaid work, He shows how entire strategies aren't built on logic or national interest, but on making Trump feel like the smartest guy in the room. Foreign policy becomes group therapy, cabinet meetings turn into fan clubs, and press briefings dissolve into self-congratulation. Colbert lands the sharper punch: Trump isn't governing. He's auditioning for history's approval, rehearsing every line as if the future were just another audience to win over with ratings. And that's the real punchline: the future won't remember the rallies or the slogans. It'll remember the spectacle of a man who mistook volume for vision.
Donald Trump has one of the most twisted minds I've ever come across. Because not only does he think Eric Holder unethically protected Obama, he thinks it's the one good thing that Holder did.
He's like, I know Eric Holder burned Obama's Kenyan birth certificate into ashes, but you gotta admire how he broke the law to cover it up, folks. He did a good job. Good job.
You can't talk about Trump without mentioning his Twitter obsession. It's where his insecurities, grudges, and late-night outbursts spill out like a diary no one asked to read. Noah skewers the absurdity the leader of the free world bragging about TV ratings at 3 a.m. or picking fights with random critics like a teenager running student council. Colbert drives home the irony. Trump spent years railing against fake news while pumping out his own endless stream of it, 280 characters at a time. It wasn't strategy, it was a presidential cry for attention. The sharpest blows land when both comedians strip away the theater and show what's underneath: emptiness. Colbert cuts deepest, saying history won't remember greatness, it'll remember a brand, a logo, a reality TV act that mistook slogans for statesmanship. The only wall he ever truly built was the one separating truth from his supporters' ability to see it, and that's why their roast works so well. They're not just mocking his words or gestures, they're exposing the shaky scaffolding holding up his entire persona, turning the toughest president ever into exactly what he is.